Hey Yuri, thanks so much for joining the show today. Can you give the audience a little bit of background, your history in UX design?
Yeah, I'd be happy to. So I've been designing now for 12-ish, 13-ish years, something like that. My background, I started as a freelancer because I kind of accidentally stumbled on design after getting laid off from the motorsport industry back in 2008 because that entire industry fell apart back then. Um, and I just at that point I was in sales, so I decided to just try selling the only thing I knew how to do, which was a little bit of design. And I was successfully able to get a good amount of business pretty quickly, and that was as far as I thought I was going to take it. I never thought that this would be a career or whatever. But a couple years later, I had a pretty deep portfolio, and got contacted by Microsoft and was able to get that as kind of like my first real big break. From there, eventually went to Amazon, which is where I was at for the bulk of my career. I was there for 7 years.
Wow.
I launched retail products like Amazon India and Amazon Business. But I'm particularly proud of what I did there on the devices side. I was one of the early design leads on the Echo line of speakers, on the Alexa app, on health wearables, and most recently, I led the team that launched their new cloud gaming product called Amazon Luna. And as of the past 2 years, I've been at Facebook, where in my first year at Facebook, I launched its most successful advertising product ever. It's Facebook's first AI-driven product, and it's kind of pivoting how Facebook's approaching advertising. And more recently, I've been working on their new commerce play called Shops. That's my career in a nutshell. Across all those things, I always just look for like what's new, what's really hard, and what's the most ambiguous thing that's gonna keep me from getting bored.
What are some common themes maybe you learned across these FAANG companies that someone else could apply to be successful in design?
Yeah, anywhere you go, I'd say that no matter what the culture is, just focusing on building trust first with everybody will go a long ways. So anywhere you go, like take the time to actually become an expert before you build a point of view and have like a strong have strong conviction in anything. um and that doesn't mean just like having a conversation with someone that looks like they've been close to something and then taking on their point of view. It means like really just touring through everyone, making sure that you've gone on a listening tour, you've gotten all that, but then on top of that, that you've delved into the archives, done as much literature review you can, read any relevant books about the industry that you're getting into, just like soak up all that stuff.
Mhm.
And kind of delay sharing like that point of view for as long as you can. Like give yourself a couple months. That's one thing. Another thing is always gotta, and it's kind of connected to the building trust thing, is always be looking for ways to make other people look good, especially your manager. But I feel like the manager thing, like a lot of people understand. But what a lot of people forget to do is do the same for your peers. Because until you've got a huge team reporting into you, that is the main form of leadership that you can show,
Yeah.
and it's always noticed. So uh, that's one of the reasons that I've been pretty successful at these companies, is that I've always gone out of my way to make anyone that was on a project with me feel like it was really successful, and like a lot of really good things happened to their career because they were connected to a project that I was on. And lastly, just prepare to be very objective and put your kind of opinions aside. So what that means is don't don't try too hard to just push something that you want to do because you want to do it. Make sure that there's good rationale behind it, because
Mm.
even like because that is the opposite of building trust. Is like if you come off as pushing something just because you really want that change to happen without like really strong data or cross-functional partnership supporting it, like just people won't take you seriously and you'll kind of lose your seat at the table.
Right. No, I think those are all great advice for anyone looking to break into those types of companies or really anywhere. A question about the first one, I feel like all those were related to design. Do your research, give good feedback, be objective, awesome advice. The first one is tough, I think, for a lot of people. You get into a job and you want to make an impact immediately. How do you tell your hiring manager, or how do you set the expectation that, like, which is very important? No, I'd rather understand what I'm doing here, taking my time to soak everything up before making a positive impact. Because I think some people think I gotta do something impressive the first week I just started.
I'd say it's the last part that's the problem. So there's nothing wrong with trying to ramp up quickly and contribute. I think it's the trying to impress people that is
Right.
the thing that can get you in trouble. So generally speaking, the things that you'll be asked to contribute fairly quickly will be pretty like tactical things. Even if they take you several hours, like they should be fairly straightforward, just because no one trusts you to do anything that is more nuanced yet.
Yeah.
Uh, so I would say that like if there is something that you're being asked to jump into, and this happened to me all the time when I came into teams at Amazon, is just because they've been, whatever, a designer quit and they've been without a designer for 4 months and they're trying to ship a product in 2 weeks after joining. Like those kind of fire drills are pretty common. I
Yeah.
think just support it minimally so that you're not so that you're putting in as little point of view as possible, like that's uninformed. Like just be the hands, just do production. So if you do have to ramp up quickly, just do it minimally. And the key there is to make sure that you got crystal clarity on what you're being asked to do, and then execute it perfectly, and then go back to learning and slow and steady.
Yeah, I think that's great advice. I have a question about management. You've probably seen a ton of effective and maybe some ineffective UX managers, but let's focus on the effective ones. You mentioned, chipping in and providing positive feedback from your manager. What was the most effective, supportive, or helpful thing that you saw UX managers do? How could they be more effective?
So the general two themes that like any manager, not even UX manager, but just any general manager is going to be tracking towards is retaining their people
Yep.
and getting results for their organization. Like really, management can be completely distilled into those two things. Like
Yeah.
good culture will ultimately retain people, right? Like making good product decisions will ultimately lead to results, et cetera, et cetera. So as an individual contributor, right, like being aware of those two things, like to go back to my earlier point, should help you be more effective at supporting your manager, right? So if your manager is asking you for like is piling onto your workload and asking you for something specific, most likely it's not because they want to further overwhelm you, it's because they're getting pressure from somewhere. So
Mhm.
ask them questions about where it's coming from. Is there more work that I can kind of address now so that we're clear for anything that might be around the corner, stuff like that.
Yeah.
And on the retaining side, right, like being aware that your boss isn't just trying to retain you, like the entire, they're always trying to keep the entire team intact. So just stepping up and helping them uh, just build a positive culture. Like what I always try to do is instill what I call studio culture anywhere I go. So the day that I arrive somewhere, whether I'm a manager or an IC, I always say, okay, like from this day forward, like anything that I'm on, you guys are all on, and anything you guys are all on, just know that I'm ready to jump in and help you guys out anytime you need to. And I found that that helps a lot with retaining people.
Yuri, you're also a leader in the design community. Can you tell us a little bit about your website and what you're up to there?
Yeah, thanks for asking. Through uxcandor.com, I lead what I've called UX career support. We got about last time I checked, I think about 12,000 members at this point, spread across the Facebook and LinkedIn versions of the group. And the gist of it is I personally offer mentorship. Anyone that wants to connect with me one-on-one, like I do manage a one-on-one calendar, but like I can't help everybody. And a lot of the themes that I get are very like they're frequently asked.
Right. Universal
Um,
problems come up.
so in these groups, we just poll for questions monthly of just like, hey, what do you guys want to cover next? And then based off of what the topic is, you know, as long as it feels relevant, I ping, you know, someone in my network that I know is really good on that thing, and we just have a casual chat about it in a group, what we call a group session, and then we open it up to Q&A, and just people get a ton of value out of it. But yeah, it's an extension of my mentorship practice, and it's just kind of blossomed and taken on a life of its own.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much for being on the show today, Yuri.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.